Do you love yourself? I'm serious. I'm so dead serious. Do you love yourself? If you pull your head up to the camera and just look into my eyes, you can see that love is just as simple as connecting in this way, as just being here, totally, presently, here, with not many thoughts happening, or just a couple here and there, but basically just being comfortable being, which is loving. Do you love being? Notice that the only thing that keeps that natural love from presenting itself right here, the only thing that would, when I ask the question, do you love yourself, the only thing that would interrupt the flow of that natural love is this thing that drops in between us. And it's called a deficiency story. So if I asked you, do you love yourself? If you started to consult the thought stream, chances are it's going to be some version of a deficiency story. There's something wrong with me. There's something, I'm imperfect. I'm not worthy. I'm insecure. I'm unsafe. I'm invalidated. I'm not there yet. I'm some version of that. And so what happens is, instead of this, which is just simply looking, being, clear mind, open heart, looking, which is love, very naturally. Instead, there's a story that we consult. So I've done thousands of private sessions now, just one-on-one, sometimes with people sobbing and crying and telling me stories about how they're reaching out into relationship to get this or to get that, and they don't get this and they don't get that, and this person's not acting right and that person's not acting right. And I see the focus on the other all the time. Somehow, if we can just fix the other, if we can get the other to respond right, to do something differently, then what? Then I'll be okay. That's the sense. Like, if that other person can just change in some way, then I'll finally be okay. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Do you know why it doesn't work? This is what I've come to see in my own life. You don't have to believe me. Just look with me at least. The only reason that I look out to others in the first place for love, attention, approval, being right, validation, worth, specialness, security, comfort, trust, is because I'm trying to medicate something at the core which is deficient, a deficient self, a deficient me. As I began to see through that deficient self in my own life, seeing how it shows up in just about every single interaction with humans, much of which happened after my so-called awakening, as I saw how it was operating everywhere, and then I saw it operating in everybody I know, just about, I changed my whole attitude about the deficient self and about non-duality, really. And to me, until one deals with this, it'll haunt you. It'll haunt you. Until you can just be gut level honest, like radically honest about yourself, and just admit that you feel like you're not good enough. Admit that you feel unworthy or invalidated or unloved or insecure or distrustful. At the very core, powerless, weak, whatever that is, just pick it, just name it and call it out. Come out of the closet with your deficient self and put it on the table so that it's something that you've named. And then once you've named it, watch what happens in all of your relationships. Watch the branches of that tree extend outward. Oh, he didn't respond the way I wanted him to respond, or she's dead wrong. She's wrong again. I can't believe she's doing this, or I don't trust that guru over there. That guru's he's distrustful. The stuff that he mutters about, or my wife, she doesn't love me anymore. Or why don't they like me? Why don't you like me? Those are all versions of the branches that extend outward to others, seeking something. What are we seeking? We're seeking to no longer feel deficient. But it doesn't work. Because even if you find another, even if you find someone out there or something out there that seems to mirror back the fact that you're not deficient, just wait. Wait until that person changes or leaves. Wait until the circumstances change. And as soon as the person changes on you or leaves, it's like there's a wound that comes up, like a feeling of pain. And that's the deficient self. That's the core sense of separation, that deficient self. And if you just sit with that energy without naming it, it just comes all the way through and it relaxes. And if you can do that, that's as simple as it gets. Just do that then. But what I find is that the deficient self story is just so powerful that a lot of people can't do that. They can't just sit with feelings and let them float through. So I invite you to go deeper, which means start with being honest. Do you love yourself 100%? Totally love yourself? Do you love being alive? Do you love relationship? Do you love everything? If you don't, then the deficiency story is operating. It's not a judgment. I'm coming out of the closet to tell you I've had the deficiency story, and I'm inviting you to come out of the closet. If we can't come out of the closet, are we just going to do this to each other for eternity or for the rest of our generations, just seeking love, attention, acknowledgement from each other? When you start being gut level honest, you know that at the core you think there's something wrong with you. And once you've named it, you can try to find it. And you can welcome pain. You can welcome pain. You can welcome the person that pisses you off. Be thankful that somebody pisses you off. Be thankful that someone angers you. Be thankful that you're afraid of someone. Be thankful that you're jealous. Be thankful of all these things, because without those people, they can't show you your deficient self. Your deficient self doesn't come up until you see how you react in relationship. So when you find yourself reacting very strongly to other people, just forget them for a second. Totally drop your thoughts of them and just ask yourself, what is that mirroring back about me? And if you'll notice, it's like, there's something wrong with me. She left because there's something wrong with me. He's disagreeing because there's something wrong with me. I'm not getting the attention I want because there's something wrong with me. I can't get this situation right with these people. I'm imperfect. There's something wrong with me. He didn't call back. There's something wrong with me. Some version of that deficiency story, once you name it and you put it right there, then you have a shot. Then you have a shot, and just try to find it then. So pull up the thought, there's something wrong with me. Or pull up the thought, I'm a piece of crap. Or pull up the thought, she left me. Or pull up the thought, I'm jealous. Whatever it is, whatever brings up that wound, that feeling of inadequacy, that deficiency in the body, just pull up the thought that comes with it, and be very frank and ask yourself, is that thought the deficient self? Is that thought it? Have I found it? And if you can see that it's just a thought, which just means words or pictures, mental pictures, then you can just relax it and love yourself, which means just be here, awake, without the deficient story. But if that thought feels like it always means look down into the body. Feel what's going on there without words and descriptions. Feel the pain, the fear, the jealousy, the guilt, the sadness, the anger, without naming it, just no name on it. This is what we don't do in relationship. We don't just sit with our pain. If you sit with pain without naming it, it just releases itself. And with it, it releases that energy of the deficient self. And as that energy is releasing, just ask yourself, is that energy really a deficient self, or is it just energy? And if you can see it's just energy, the feeling, the sensation can naturally come through. You can even love that energy, because it's none other than what you are. I mean as awareness, not as a story. It's inseparably appearing to your experience, but it's just energy. It has no story on it, so it can just come through and relax. But if that energy feels like you, if it feels like the deficient self, it just means there's some thought coming through, like words or pictures that come back through that say, yeah, but I really am a piece of crap. Or nobody loves me. And just find out what that thought is and look right at it and ask, is that it? Is that the deficient self, that thought? No. Then just relax the thought and feel any feelings that are there. Whenever a thought feels like the deficient self, it just means there's an emotion or a sensation to experience without thought. Whenever an emotion or sensation feels like the deficient self, it just means there's a thought coming up that's not conscious. So look at it and ask, is that it? In working with so many people, it just get the sense that the deficient self is an illusion, but it's like a combination of thoughts that seem welded together with sensations and emotions like this. And they take that group of thoughts and emotions that seem welded together as their self, and it's only because they haven't looked at these things, these arisings, and asked the question. For example, just pulling up a thought out of that group, like, I'm not good enough, and looking right at it with awareness and saying, is that thought the deficient self, the actual deficient self that I think I am? No. Well, how about this feeling that came with it that's in the body? Is that energy it when I don't name it? No. And if you do that with each one of the thoughts and feelings in that deficient self, it just starts to appear like it's not welded together again. And so it's just, there are thoughts and energies, and then you've looked at each one of them, and you can't, guess what? You can't find the deficient self. You can't find it because you've actually looked for it. Instead of just believing that you're deficient, and then looking for others to cover up the deficiency, to medicate the pain, to tell you that you're good, to tell you that you're special, to tell you that you're right, to make you feel safe. Instead of doing that, which really doesn't work, really, you've actually gone to the root of it, and you've actually looked to see whether that deficient self is anywhere, and it's not anywhere. There's just this thought, that feeling, this sensation, and then this other thought. But you're looking at each one of them, and as you see that they're not welded together, and they're each their own arising, it's just like, see how empty it is? You're empty of that deficient self. It's not there. Then you can love yourself totally, 100%. Without the deficiency story, you don't have to do anything else. Love just shows up. You don't have to do anything else. That's how easy it is. You don't have to act loving or kind. You can, but it doesn't change the fact that love is just here when the deficient self is seen through.